We all, yeah, I think we're all back. All right, so I wanted to go through the introduction of what a game is first. I'd actually, ideally, I would have done that before we had even really kind of gotten into our groups and started having a discussion about choosing a game. Um, but now that we have that kind of working description in our minds, you can hold up the ideas that your group has for a game against that. Because some things may be great educational activities and they may work really well in the classroom, but in terms of translating them into a game structure, they may not work as well. So part of tonight is, I know just looking through the wiki, some groups it looked like they had sort of narrowed down to a single topic. It looked like some of the other groups were still throwing around some ideas and still discussing. In either case, I would start off your discussion tonight with your groups just kind of revisiting your choice or completing your choice. But again, with that idea of the framework of what a game is. So you need to ask yourself, is this an activity where we can create a set of rules? Or is it, come on, speak before. Where you can create a system of rules that's going to engage your agents, your students in some sort of a competition that's going to actually involve them in meaningful, ambiguous decision making, where there's not just a clear path that they're just having to follow. It's not a contest where they're actually affecting the outcome of the game through the decisions that they make. So as you're talking about your choices and your ideas for games, maybe run it through this and see if it looks like there's going to be major roadblocks, in which case you might want to find a different approach or a different topic. Or if you think you can see a path that would get you something that matches this description using the topic that you've chosen, then certainly go with that. But the idea is then in terms of once you have that, hello, sir.
Welcome to paradise. Father.
Yeah. We have a
over here. Did you see his linebacker, baby?
yeah.
With the cats. I need to fix that laptop. Sorry.
Yeah, no, that's fine. He said he was having some issues. Blame it on the baby. Baby drooled on it. Something. So basically, like I said, the wiki, and actually, I know somebody last time said, you know, I'm not even really aware of what a wiki is, so maybe I should just back up a second. So, does anybody actually know where the word wiki comes from? Like what it's always in all capitals. Does anybody know what it actually means? My understanding is that it's actually from no, it's from I can't even remember the names of the states. Hawaii. What's the native tongue of Hawaii is whatever that the language that is spoken native in Hawaii. The word wiki apparently means easy. If something's wiki, it's easy. So the idea behind wiki was sort of in the earlier days of websites. You really had no choice but to learn how to program HTML in order to create a website. They wanted a way for people to be able to essentially create websites that was easy, that was more drag and drop, just throw this content in. You don't really need to know the HTML. You just fill in the content and then we'll deal with formatting everything. So that's the idea behind a wiki, is that it's essentially creating a website type of structure, but without you really needing to know the ins and outs of how to do all that. So within the context of the Moodle, the wiki is just an activity you can set up where you can easily add new pages in by putting the name of the page in a set of double square brackets. It'll then automatically create that page for you, and you can then link to other pages by simply putting the name of another page inside those double square brackets. So that's really what it's about. So for me, it seemed like this would be a good way to organize the work on the games and to have a central location where things can be being kept track of. Certainly within your own groups, if you guys want to, if you use Google, if you want to set up Google Doc for something where you can then all communicate with each other through that, or something else that you want to share with each other, that's fine. But I did want to give all the groups at least one place where information could be worked on together by everybody. So what I did for this week is within the groups. So this was where you were doing the work from last week and having your discussions. But I added at the bottom of the page for each one an ID and instructional design page. And what I've done on that page is gone ahead and put in the A of the ADDIE process, the analyze, design, develop, the I, implement, thank you, and then evaluate. So this is the A of the design process. So this is sort of where we get started. And there's the 5 sort of standard questions here. The first one is the problem. And I had you guys already trying to put your game ideas within the context of the problem being solved on the previous page. So that would just sort of transfer into here. Again, this is not what you're going to do. This shouldn't be about the game itself or about any strategies. This is what you're trying to fix in your students. What is the problem that you're trying to address? Because if this is going to be an educational game, just like any other thing we do in a lesson, it should be designed to be addressing a problem in the students. So give us a description, a sentence or two of what that problem is that your group is trying to solve, is trying to help. Number 2 then is the need. Now again, in a pure instructional design world, the need could be anything. The need could be an assignment. The need could be an assessment. The need could be a project. The need could be a video. Because this is a class where we are designing instructional games, the name, part of the answer to this should be, we need an instructional game that. So I know that's a little backwards because to be truthful to the process, you wouldn't go in with that, but that is kind of a given. So again, couch everything in the context of what we need to solve this problem is a game that is going to motivate our students to learn this material. And I put that in here since motivation is one of the key advantages of the game approach. Maybe make that a part of the need. The reason you need a game is because it is going to motivate the students to fix something that otherwise they haven't been able to fix. Analyzing the audience. This is going to be really important for a lot of the stages. For a lot of the stages along the way, because within your group, you may have people that are working at a bunch of different levels, elementary, high school, adult, whatever. You're going to need to kind of pick one for this game. Because as anyone who's tried to play games with 6 and 7-year-olds, their grasp of rules and depth of understanding is going to be different than if you're dealing with high school students, right? So if there's a range within your group, when you've picked a topic, then just try to decide what is our target going to be. What is the age group? It's a little artificial because you're working in a group and you may not be designing for a specific person's classroom, but as specific as you can get. That way, when you're making your decisions in the game and you're designing the rules and everything, you can make sure that you're writing the rules and everything so that that age group would be able to understand it and be successful with it.
So we can pick just like one phrase.
Yeah, again, some of this is going to be a little artificial. If you were just designing this game for your classroom, and you were just working by yourself, then absolutely you'd be analyzing your classroom and your students. Because it's a group project and we probably got a range of things, just within the group, decide what your target audience is going to be. Think maybe more along the lines like you're working for a client, and the client has come to you and said, here's the group that I work with, or something like that. Then learning outcomes. So, when they're done playing this game, what is it that they should be able to do? If you were to give them an assessment, having done this game, what behavior, what knowledge should they be able to show you that maybe they couldn't before they did the game? So that's obviously sort of an extension of the problem and so on, but what is it you're actually looking for them to do? After, the students will be able to, or the students will know. Yes.
So in educational games, I feel like there's always well, not always, because I guess it depends on what subject you teach, but so I'm always thinking of you have your content and you have your skills. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So should we address? Is it okay to address both of those? For example, collaboration. Maybe one of my objectives is I feel like my students need to collaborate together better more. And they need to work together to try to do things. But then, yet I also have content objectives that I want them to learn certain.
Yeah, I mean, if you get clever enough, you can probably address both. I'd say just be careful of trying to put too much into the outcome of the game. So yeah, collaboration might be a component of how they make it through the game, and then there's content that they are also picking up along the way. You might want to go as far as at least to state what the sort of primary goal, which is more important, because you may get to a point in the game design where you kind of have to let one go a little bit in order to really achieve the other one. But yeah, there can certainly be more than one learning outcome, just like most units of instruction have more than one thing they want to come out of. All right, and then the last thing, again, also sort of following up is more about the content. Again, realizing that you're working in a group and you're probably pulling from different backgrounds, but is this coming out of some set of state standards or national standards, or what is it that's actually going into the lesson? So that's different than the learning outcome, which is what they can do or know by the end. The content is sort of what needs to be in the game. What is it that they're going to be working through as they go through the game? There's obviously going to be a lot of specific decisions that get made after this. But this is really just about analyzing your situation so that you know very clearly what are you trying to solve, who are you trying to solve it for, and sort of what are the elements that are going to go into that solution through the outcomes and the content. All right? So questions about any of those questions? So the idea is just within your group, have somebody who maybe's got the best typing skills or something. When you go into the wiki and you get to this page, all you've got to do at the top is hit edit. And then it's just going to be like editing any other sort of text box kind of thing. You just type in, you can format, you can do whatever you want to do in terms of getting the content in there. But just start working through these sort of question by question and filling that in as part of the remainder of the work. So basically, I don't have much else for tonight. I do want to touch base before the end of class just to talk about the work for next week. But my hope is maybe for the next half hour, 35 minutes or so, that you just get together with your group. Step one would be, before you get to this, to make sure that you've kind of narrowed down your focus, your topic, your subject for the game. And then once you feel pretty confident that you've got a subject that's going to be workable as a game, then maybe start to work your way through these. This doesn't have to be done by the end of class today. I'd rather you take a little more time to really make sure that you've got a subject that you think is really going to work well, than to rush through that just to try to get a couple of these things filled in. We'll have time over the next week or so to work our way through this. As I said, next week we're going to start to look at the actual game structure, the flow chart of the game. So you're going to want to have a pretty clear idea of the subject of your game and the general direction of the game. But this does not have to be completed by the time you walk out of here tonight. Okay? So I know the room is a little small. If groups want to spill out into the hall or whatever, I'm fine with that. But I do want to just sort of touch base with everybody, let's say maybe the last 10 minutes of class. So at 7:20, right? We go to 7:30? Yeah, 7:20. So that's 32 minutes from now. We'll come back together, see how everything's going, see if you have questions. I'll go over the work for next week, and we'll go from there.
Mine is telling me that I can't edit it because somebody else is editing it.
She's on it.
Yeah, I know, but we did this for an assignment, and you should be able to have multiple people on it, right?
I don't know that two people can be editing the same page at the same time.
Okay. I thought we did it though, like, for example,
Was that the wiki or was that the?
when we analyzed the video.
Yeah, but we weren't all on, were we? I wasn't on, I was sitting behind and you were.
I think we just had one person in each case that was sort of doing the typing. You can be viewing it. I just don't think multiple people can be doing the editing at the same time. Otherwise, it doesn't know. It's not going to know how to merge the changes. So, and the group that Sandy is in, that's your group. Okay, good. I know she was going through surgery or something like that. So, yeah, that's and she emailed me as long as you guys.
I'll keep you in the loop and everything that we do, I'll just pass right on.